Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for Monday, the 29th of June, 2015. Let's take a look at the sea surface temperature anomalies for today as we start out the week. Clearly the El Nino in the Pacific sticks out, and this should stick out as well. Very cold water compared to where it should be across the deep tropics here, the main development region of the Atlantic Ocean. Much colder than we're expecting this time of year. And then to the north of that, the subtropics, quite a bit warmer than normal. And all of that adds up to saying, yeah, we're not going to have that many hurricanes to track in the Atlantic Basin. Now, again, that doesn't mean there won't be one that tracks right into your backyard. Nobody can predict that looking at this kind of a pattern, and nobody can predict that this far out into the future. Meaning that we have August, September, October, the traditional peak months. But I think that during those peak months, we're not going to see as much activity through here as we will through here. In other words, it's right in our backyard where we're probably going to have to worry about what does, in fact, develop. But for now, we have this very warm signature in the Pacific, and that is likely to equate to quite a few powerful typhoons in the western Pacific off the map here, and then several more pretty intense hurricanes in this area of the southeast Pacific. Nothing to worry about right now, though. Looking at the tropical cyclone heat potential, this tells us how much energy is in the ocean, not just the water temperature at the surface, but far below, several dozens of meters to 100 meters deep in some cases. And if that water is sufficiently warm at depth, then you have this area of higher, what we call ocean heat content. I'm kind of outlining all the areas where it is substantial enough to at least get your attention. And then, of course, in this area, it's pretty high on the scale, enough that you could support some pretty intense hurricanes. But pretty much the entire Atlantic Basin, where people live anyway, is quite warm and has plenty of ocean heat content to fuel a hurricane. It's just a matter of, will there be a hurricane to fuel? In fact, this time last year, it looks roughly the same. So no major differences. Here it is today, and again, here it is this same time last year. Interesting that the southeast coast here has fairly substantial heat content in both years. Here it is again today. Pretty warm there right off the coast of Florida. Probably not going to see, like I said, I'll say it one more time, anything coming across directly like this, so much as it'll be that we have a tropical wave that makes its way across and then doesn't develop until somewhere in here, and then it either heads out to sea, comes into the southeast, or who knows what. But the point is, it'll have some very warm water to work with if, in fact, anything can get going. We're still going to have the tropical waves out there. It's a matter of when and if they develop that we will really need to pay attention to. Now, I'll tell you what, if you're going into the Gulf of Mexico, all this water temperature outline here, what we call this isotherm, or line of equal temperature, it's 30 degrees Celsius or higher. In fact, all of this is 31 degrees Celsius. We're talking about upper 80s. And then just north of Tampa, right here, 32 degrees Celsius. I mean, we're getting close to 90 degrees in the water temperature department. And mostly at the surface, right at the skin of the ocean, as they say. But that's warm no matter how you cut it. And thank goodness there's nothing to take advantage of it right now. That's all I'll say. Looking at the Atlantic, same kind of deal. Very warm water temperatures from the Pamlico Sound all the way down through Wrightsville, Myrtle Beach, Pawleys Island, and east of Jacksonville, Florida, and even out into Bermuda. Very warm water temperatures for sure. But being at the end of June, you really don't have to worry about tropical activity too much in the 100-year climatology. You know, we look and we see, well, yeah, usually it ramps up in August and September. But I have to wonder, if water temperatures are this warm now, that heat content's just going to grow. You won't necessarily warm the surface up too much more because there's a limit to how much it can warm. But then you start warming it up further beneath the waves, if you will. And that's where the problems can come in if something comes along to take advantage of it. Will that happen anytime soon? Probably not. I skipped ahead. I want to show you Africa for now. This is the west coast of Africa and the intertropical convergence zone here. Very, very tranquil overall. A little bit of convection over Africa, the eastern part of Africa. You have Ethiopia and Somalia over here, and then you have Cape Verde over here and the Cape Verde Islands. And you can tell just by looking at this, very stable air coming off of Africa, kind of just rolls off the Saharan dust storms, what we call the Saharan air layer, alive and well off the coast of Africa right now. And that's probably not going to change anytime soon. The GFS and its ensemble members all showing a very active Madden-Julian oscillation heading into the western Pacific area over the next couple of weeks. So expect to see one or more substantial typhoons develop somewhere in the western Pacific. The Philippines, Guam, Japan, even China. Everybody has to pay attention in the next couple of weeks in the Pacific region for these massive typhoons. Some of the models already picking up on that. Going to be a big story, I do believe, in the hurricane and typhoon weather world, the blogosphere as we call it. The Euro also showing an incredible amplification of the MJO, and then it just kind of dies out. When you see it go into the circle here, it's kind of what we call the null region, and there's just not that much Madden-Julian oscillation activity. Or in other words, the upward motion is not favorable in any one area over another when you see it go into the circle. But boy, this amplification coming up, forecast both by the Euro and the GFS, indicating a very strong MJO pulse coming for the Pacific. Will it make its way around to the Western Hemisphere? Well, time will tell. If it does, it will be later in July. So at least between now and then, nothing to worry about. So with that being said, I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com and, of course, for Hurricane Pro and HD. Nothing else going on in the tropics this week. So I will talk to you next Monday.